Yeah, I bet there are several people here that have trouble with paper organization and files. And somebody put in the chat, clutter is another thing. So those are good things. And I'm going to bring up a few more ideas for you as well as we go forward. So of course, when we're thinking about organizing, everybody's first response is, I want to organize everything. Okay, let's just get it all together. And of course, that's what we all want. But in order to be very successful at organizing after brain injury, we're going to have to start slow. We're going to have to start one step at a time. And you're going to be hearing me talk about this through our talk. So let's take a look here. Does any of this sound familiar to you? Feeling overwhelmed, not knowing where to begin. Maybe you're spending too much time looking for things and wasting an hour, wasting a half hour, and frustrated, right? Maybe you're buying things because you don't think you have them when you really do, because you couldn't find them. And so losing information, forgetting information, maybe you're having a messy workspace or home space. We've already heard Meredith talk about missing appointments and, maybe being late to appointments. These are all things that can really hinder our life and our being calm and being able to feel in control of your life. So we want to get in control. So here's a little picture. If this closet on this before closet looks familiar to you, we're going to talk about how to organize that. And, obviously it's so hard to get ready in the morning when your closet looks this way rather than nicely organized. Here's our after picture. And then maybe your workspace is difficult. Here's a before workspace. It's so hard to find what you need and to get started on whatever the task is at hand, where we have here a clear space. And I've had students tell me, because I often try to have them have phrases to help themselves, and it's a clear space clears the mind. And so when we have things organized, it's a lot easier to sit down to approach our work. So we're going to talk about those things. So for today, I wanted us to come away with an understanding about what's helpful to know about a brain injury and keeping organized. And not just for you, but I don't know if we have any caregivers online, or we have family members or friends, or just people who want to support you, the survivor, with keeping organized. It's really important to understand why this is happening, because oftentimes I think people are too hard on themselves. Also, caregivers sometimes get frustrated, like, why can't you do this? And we need to have an understanding as to why. It doesn't mean we can't put things together to help fix it, to help make it more functional, that you can do the organization, but it's just important, that background knowledge. Then we're also going to talk about ideas for organizing your space and for creating reminders, for organizing papers, and creating checklists and other visuals that will be easy to use so that you can start to get some organization in your life. So why is it difficult to organize after brain injury? Well, most brain injuries, a majority of them, involve our frontal lobe, right? And here in the front. And the frontal lobe is responsible for executive functioning. And if you think about executive function, I always use the secretary of the brain. That's what it is. And if you think about what a secretary is, a secretary runs an office, takes care of appointments, organizes things, troubleshoots, answers phone calls, keeps everybody on track. That's a lot to do for organization. And that's what our frontal lobe does. So if you've had some frontal lobe damage, this is going to be more challenging for you. Not impossible, but more challenging. So you might have trouble with initiation, getting started. You might have trouble problem solving. Oh my gosh, now how am I going to address this? How in the heck am I going to start sorting through all these things I have and organizing them? It involves planning, and that's what the frontal lobe does, is help us with planning, with thinking, and also coordinating motor movements. If anybody has some difficulty with that can also make this more challenging. If you have an injury around your temporal lobe, this involves memory. So while we may set something up, it might be difficult to remember what you decided to do or how you decided to do it. So this is why we'll talk about using checklists and visual supports to support your memory on those days where it might not be as strong as another. If you have damage in your parietal lobe, maybe you're going to have some trouble with visual spatial processing, and that's just like seeing things in relationship to each other. And that can also affect your organization. It's almost like if you know about those, where's Waldo, how do you find Waldo and all these things, or how do you find that earring in this pile of jewelry? So that can affect. And then if you have damage in your occipital lobe, which is in the back here, you might have trouble with visual perception. You might have trouble with recognizing colors and shapes, and that can affect your ability to sort things, to make it more difficult to sort things. And one of the things we do when we're organizing is sort, sort and categorize. Okay, so let's think about this. When you have to organize, it feels overwhelming. And what you're having to do first is think about what you want to organize. Then you have to think about how you want to organize. That's the planning part. You have to take the time to do it and not get distracted. So distractions are difficult. So we'll talk about some strategies for that as well. So we're planning, and we're having to think, and then we're having to execute all of those things. What helps us to do that? Routine. Routine helps us. So we're going to talk a lot today about developing a routine, which will help your organization. Part of what we're going to do is talk about keeping things in your visual so that you can see them, using lists and labels. We're going to talk about the timing of your organization. And this is super important. Once we get a system in place, every single time you put the item in the same place. Oh, yeah, Cindy, that sounds so easy. I know that it's difficult sometimes to do this, but what we're going to do is one step at a time, one thing at a time, and you're going to get that into your routine, and it will become more of a practice. More, the motor movement will come into play, your memory will come into play, and then it will become routine, and you can move on to the next place of organization that you'd like to address. When we have a routine and we put things in the same place every time, we lessen our frustration and we have greater success. So how do we get started with this? The first thing we're going to do is prioritize. And again, I'm talking, let's do one thing. When I want us in these next few slides, I'm going to give you some ideas about ways or places you want to organize. Some of you already came with an idea, but what we're going to start with is, what's the thing that bothers you the most? You can also think about it as, what's the thing that you waste the most time on trying to find? If you want to, and you have a pencil and paper, you could write that one thing down. And I'm going to give you some ideas as you're thinking about that in these next couple of slides. We might want to organize something in our environment. You might want to organize your paperwork, but we're going to titrate that down even more specifically in a minute. You might want to organize your time or your schedule or your appointments, or maybe you're having trouble organizing and taking your medications. So we have lots of ways to do this. So you might say you want to organize your bedroom. Well, let's break that down. Let's pick one thing in your bedroom. Is it your closet? Is it a drawer? In your kitchen, maybe it's one cupboard. We're starting with one just to get ourselves going and feel some success. Could be your toiletries in your bathroom or how you're doing your laundry. Here are lots of different papers. We've got lots of papers. You have bills, medical papers, tax papers. Maybe you need to organize where you put your keys or your wallet. We have calendar ideas. Okay, maybe you want to remember appointments. There's lots of things. So what we're going to do is start with one space or one process when we're thinking about how to organize. Here we've talked about spaces. Processes are another thing that maybe you need organization with. I don't know. Maybe it's making coffee in the morning or using your dishwasher, doing laundry, or maybe it's remembering to take everything and do what you need to do before you leave the house. So we're going to set up a goal, one goal today, one thing to think about. But I'm going to give you lots of ideas that you can come back and use another time. It could be organizing your junk drawer, okay, or making up your steps for laundry. And what I want you to also think about is your personality and how things work for you, because it needs to make sense to you. So date and time is a really great one, but it may be by specific category. So time, we have to take the time to organize. And a lot of times what we'll say is, I'm going to do that later. Oh, you get overwhelmed with how much you want to do. And then it just seems like sometimes we never get to that thing. So I'm going to suggest that we pick a time of day to start this organization process. And it could be a specific hour, or it could be a time of day like when you get home from a class or from work, or it could be before you go, or it could be after dinner. You know, it could be just a time of day after an activity or before an activity, or it could be a specific hour. And then next, I want you to set a timer, and please be kind to yourself. If you think, and be realistic, if you think that 15 minutes is about all you can do right now, that's okay. That's okay, because we're going to build upon this. So you might want to set a timer so that you know exactly how much time you have and you can stay focused, and the timer then will go off. If you're still energized and you want to keep going, great. But at least you've done something, and we're going to get into routine. So we're going to do something every day. So we want to make it realistic. You can always go over. The other thing is that you want to think about yourself and what helps you to stay focused and energized. So some music can be very helpful, and it also could be distracting for some people. But I want to play you a couple of different types of music, and just to give you an idea that this could be helpful. Or maybe you're a person that needs absolute quiet to focus, and that's fine too. It's all a matter of what works for you. There's also music for what I use for working and studying, which also is this type of music helps your brain to focus. For many people, some people still need it quiet, but I use this on Pandora. It's classical music for studying. What is really great about this music for studying is that it's been researched, and it's typically about 60 beats per minute, which is the same as your heart rate typically. And so it helps your brain to focus. It's been very beneficial for many people. So think about that when you're organizing, or maybe use that music when you're having to do some work. Both could be very helpful. Okay, so when we're thinking about organizing, we're thinking about sorting, okay? And there are ways to sort. So you can sort by color, you can sort by function. So, you know, for instance, with clothes, you would be, you know, sorting your shirts and your pants, your workout clothes, you know, your weekend clothes, your work clothes. You can sort by function. With toiletries, maybe you're going to put all things for your hair in one place, for your teeth, maybe all your skincare lotions or your makeup in another container or place, maybe your things for shaving. So we look at function. For paper, we're looking at function, like Mary was talking about her medical papers. Your bills could be another, your coupons, if you use them, another, your fun things that you're interested in, and then your junk, the things that you don't need. So we're looking at function, and then we're going to label. So many things we can use to do this. We can use folders and tubs. You can use a drawer, closet, and even counter space. We're going to look at labeling because that also helps keep your organization. So here's a couple of examples. Okay, so this is somebody that really likes sewing, and they've actually put into clear bins and labeled the different things that they need for their sewing. So the clear bins are nice because you can see right through them, and that makes a difference in your, you know, having that visual as well as having the label. Here, this person had recreation and games, so that they separated those out. So these are really nice little containers, and they're clear as well. And I don't know if you can see, but I put medicine on this one. So I've got my medicine, I've got, you know, my airborne, my I can't think, aspirin, you know, all the things that you might want could be right in here. Here's another one. This one I labeled teeth and eyes. So you're thinking about what works for you, but here is retainers, here is contacts, here is solution, everything for that. So when I go to pick something up, it's like, oh, great, I know right where it is. You might remember it's the orange one, but make it easier on yourself and your brain. Just have that label on there so you know. I think I already showed you this, but just so you know, these clear boxes are really, really helpful. Another thing that's, well, I'll show this to you now, but there's another thing in labeling that's helpful. And I just put this box here to put in a closet, but you know, there are also these cubes that you can buy at Walmart or Target so that you're organizing your things. But it's like, here are hand towels and here are washcloths. So we're helping ourselves just know exactly where we're going to put them and put them in that place. And that visual really, really does help us out. All right. And so another thing that's really, really great to have in place, if you don't already have it, is a place for your keys, a place for your glasses, sunglasses or regular glasses, a place for your purse or your wallet. Very nice to be able to always find them. It's almost just refreshing, right? So you can use a label and put it somewhere it's specific in your home. For keys, of course, you could use a hook, but it's nice also to have that label there. So like you could put it just on the counter, but you could also, I'm going to stop share for a moment again. You can also put it in, have a basket, put your labels on the outside. You don't have to have them like this if you don't want. You could just put them with the words. And once you get into the habit, once this becomes routine, we've been talking about routine, maybe you don't need the labels anymore, but the labels help calm your mind, calm your brain, so you don't have to overthink things. Yes. And it just depends on your personality and what you need, which is what we said at the beginning. And I saw that really great chat. You need to do what, let's see if I can pull it up again. You need to do what brings you peace. And that is true. So we're showing lots of different ways that help many people, and you choose what works best for you. At the beginning, I was putting up why these things are so important. And I don't know if you've tried this, explaining how much these things can help you, and that we're going to start with one thing at a time, and that when you do your one thing to start, that you start in your bedroom where you have your own space, or your bathroom where you have your own space, and then see which method works best for you. And then as you go forward, maybe taking some time to explain to your roommates, hey, I know you don't like this, but it's so helpful for me, and I'd really like to do it in this next area. And if you're finding that this is your thing, this is really helping you, then you can explain to your roommates that I know you probably don't want to use this, and you don't have to use it, but it really helps me. Yeah. And so I would like to try it in this one area. Yeah. And this is why at the beginning of this video, I put up the parts about the brain, and so we can all understand this is more a physiological problem. It's a problem because your brain was injured. It's not a problem because you're lazy, or because, you just don't know what you're doing. It's because it's a physiological problem that we can put supports forward for to help you. So this is actually a client of mine who used to be a student of mine, who I still work with. And he moved into a new place, and I asked him, could you please show us how you have organized? And so this is really cool. He has these cubes, and he's going to community college, and he has a cube for each subject. This is how he has organized. So that's helped him. He has lots of shoes. So now we have the shoes and cubes. Now, he might go to the closet before and think, I don't have a pair of red shoes. And so goes and buys another pair. Now we can see them, okay? He has these up above, which are nice for organizing. I will suggest that he puts a label of what's inside, because that also makes it easier. And then eventually he knows exactly what is in the orange bin versus the blue versus the green. And then he has his drawers, one's for underwear, one's for his colorful socks he loves. So there are ways to space things out and put them in specific places. But I'm going to suggest to you again to think about one thing. Maybe you're going to think about shoes. Maybe you're going to think about your undergarments. Maybe you're going to think about your books or your papers, and we're just going to do one thing at a time. I don't know how many of you use Post-it notes, but I love Post-it notes. And I love them for many reasons. But what we're using them for in this instance is like an incidental thing that you want to not forget. You turn the stove on, you're cooking, you put check stove. So you remember, maybe if before you go, you leave, or in a specific place where you are. On the stove front, I also suggest setting timers, because the timer will go off. You can have it with you and you can go back and check your stove. The other thing to use it for is incidental things. Let's say you're just about to go out the door and the phone rings and you can't talk right now. You've got to go. Have Post-it notes by your phone and just write yourself a quick note. Call Julie or call Dad and stick it up on the wall. Stick it somewhere where you can see it so you remember to call these people back. Does anyone else use Post-it notes for reminders in any way? Yeah, good. And the reason I like to use Post-it notes, and of course, they come in a lot of different colors. When you are starting to organize your closet or any of the things we're talking about organizing, I like to use Post-it notes as I'm trying to figure out where things are going to go before I put a permanent mark there. Because you might think that your organization is going to work one way, and you put your Post-it notes with what's going in that place, and then you realize, no, I better rearrange it. Once you get that set, then you can make more permanent labels for where things go. All right, when you're leaving the house, this is just a suggestion, but you put this by the door, and I like to use these, just these little file you can put a paper in, and you can use whatever color you want. If you're a person that likes pink, that alerts you, or blue, whatever it is that you want, the checklist of what's important for you to remember when you're leaving. Maybe you have a back door, you want to make sure it's locked. You want to make sure your appliances are off. And, automatic shut off is a really good thing for appliances just in case. But let's say you want to just do a check, make sure they're off. Do I have my purse or wallet? Do I have my phone? Do I have my keys? And what else I need? And here I just put shopping list. But if you put it in a little sleeve like this, then you can use a dry erase marker and check it off each time, okay? Until it gets into routine. It's very helpful just to have that visual reminder. Okay, so when we're talking about paper can be very overwhelming. And using color to organize your paper is very, very important. Research shows that using color for specific things and keeping that color consistent calms the brain. So this is a great example just from a bowl full of lemons. She's got her paperwork in binders. Binders might work for you. So we have blue, yellow, purple. For some people that have trouble with binders or just don't want to use them, pockets are good. The only downside to the pockets is that then you have to fish everything out. But picking a color for each type of paperwork is really helpful. If this is what you came for, you might want to make a list of the different types of paper you think you have, and then make a color for each. And then you can start with sorting those things by color. So see my junk mail bag. So I want to give you this suggestion that I use for kids with homework to do and homework that's completed. You can use it for bills. So what you do is, and I have it in a binder here, but I'm going to take it out to show you. Okay, so we have a regular file folder. If you have it closed, you don't see anything, right? And this might work fine for you. But when you open it, you have bills to pay and bills paid. Now, what I do is turn it inside out. So when you open your binder, the first thing you're going to see is the bills to pay that you put in here. And then when you turn it over and your bills have been paid, you can put them in the paid section. All right. So sometimes when people look at these binders or these file folders, like, well, I don't remember what I have to do. So opening it up and having a label on each side is very helpful. Okay. So that's another good, a good way. But then, like I said before, we want to get the mail that we don't need thrown away. Some people have trouble with, oh, do I need that? Should I do that? Put it in there. And if you need to leave it in there for the week and take it out on trash day, that's okay. If you haven't gone in to get it, that means you probably don't need it. So that's another helpful way to organize. Okay, let's go forward. I don't know how many of you have this type of a clock, but these are great for the orientation for you. Day of the week, what time it is, in morning, noon, or afternoon, or evening, time, and date. There's many of these you can find on Amazon, and they're super helpful for orientation of your day. And now we talk about calendars. A lot of people like the visual of a wall calendar. That's fine. Some people like electronic calendars, and there are many to use, and that's fine too. It's all what works for you, and some people use both. So, of course, the wall calendar is right there in your face, but the electronic calendar is what you can carry along with you and has reminders and things that you can put in. We aren't going to get into the detail of how to set up an electronic calendar in this session, but maybe in future sessions, we can have someone come in and talk about that. What I want to talk about is some of the organization that you can think through. You might want to organize certain things by the day of the week. For instance, Every Sunday is when you fill your pill box, okay? Every Monday is when you plan your meals for the week. Every Tuesday is a grocery shopping day. Every Wednesday is laundry, just as a suggestion. So one of the visuals you might want to set up is just this with your definite every week type of thing. To-do lists are also good. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. So some things that are routine could go on a weekly planner as a visual. Maybe what you need, the thing that you're trying to organize, we're going to develop a checklist for. And I talked about spaces earlier, and I talked about processes. So some of this is about process. Maybe you need a reminder of process for making coffee or cleaning the kitchen, and we're going to break that down into specific areas. Because if you just say clean the kitchen, sometimes it's like overwhelming. Where do I start? So, well, maybe first do those dishes and then sweep the floor or mop the floor, then wipe the counters. You can go through and make your checklist for that. Maybe having your bedtime routine listed as a reminder. Maybe sometimes you forget to lock the front door. Put that on your list to double check that you've done that, turned off all the lights, stove is off. These are just examples. So here's just an example for making coffee. Fill the carafe. I'm not going to read this through, but you can see you have your steps. So if there's something that you are relearning how to do or learning how to do, and maybe you get mixed up on steps, having this spelled out for you can be very helpful until it gets into your long-term memory. So like Ryan was saying, it's sometimes hard for people to understand why you need these labels or lists or whatever. The whole idea is that when we have it spelled out and we have it visually to aid our memory on days when maybe our memory's not so great, it's going to help get it into your long-term memory, especially if you follow it the same way each time. And when it gets into your long-term memory, it then becomes routine and you don't need the supports as much. You keep them just in case, but it's just helpful to have them to get yourself started. I found this great website called instructables.com, and they have a really great, it's people, as far as I understand it, people put their own things on there. They've created, and it doesn't have everything, but I want to show you a few things, because let's say you're thinking about the routine for your laundry. Of course, this person has something where they sort colors, whites and darks. But if you just take a look at this, I'm going to show you. This is really cool. So they have the pictures if you need them, maybe you don't. Number one, get your basket of dirty laundry. Now you're going to sort the clothes. It has the visual if you need it. And it says, sort through the clothes and separate lights and darks. Whites are best washed with other whites. Just to help you understand or remember. Place in the dishwasher, add the detergent, and then set the wash cycle on the appropriate one. So it's very simple, and they have them for different things. Okay, so here, I just want to show you this one too, because I think this is really cool for organizing your refrigerator. Again, instructables.com, and we see first, look at this, come up with a plan of how you want your refrigerator to look. What do you buy? What do you have? What's important? And try to put a map together. Then you take everything out, throw away old things. Next step. It's tedious, but extremely helpful to go through food and check if things are expired. Then you clean, and then you start with the doors and putting things in the doors, then the top shelf, then the middle shelves, and it gives you instructions along the way, and then the bottom shelf and your drawers. So it's a very nice way to have tips on a variety of things if you're looking for some other suggestions. So I have it on here. It's instructables.com. Okay, let's look at phones a little bit. One of my favorite apps is Google Keep. And like I've said all the way along, your personality is what you need to consider when you're looking at all of these ideas. Everything doesn't work for everybody. It's what resonates with you and what makes things simple. But what I like about this is just kind of, I like the checklist option of it. And it has, you can color code different things that you want to remember, or, and so I'm just going to tell you, like, here we have a shopping list. And you can, what I like about it is after you buy or you do whatever is on the list and check it off, it crosses it off for you. And you can hide it. You can color code the different areas that you're trying to track with Google Keep. So for me, I'm going to show you a few things. Let me stop this for a moment. So on mine, I have different colors for different things. I have people's names I want to remember, because if I meet someone just initially quickly, I have a difficult time for remembering their name. So I put their name in there. I have things to do for work in here, things to do for my board. I have movies that I want to see. There's all kinds of things you can do. And once you check it off, it crosses it out and you can hide it. So I really like that option for me, and other students I've had, my students really enjoy using it. It's just an option.
Can you make sure and let people know how to get to Google Keep?
Yes, so Google Keep is an app. And so you can, it's, I think, $2.99, and you can go in the App Store and just type in Google Keep. If you might want to look and see if you already have Google Keep. So you can get it separately, or you can get it in this whole Google plan. Google Keep. Okay. Then we have Alexa or Siri. So if you have Alexa or you have Siri, these things you can use for reminders too. For you, it could be that you record into your phone your own voice that you listen to as a reminder. You can put voice notes to remind yourself, and you know your voice. So for you, that's the way to use your voice at this point in time. As later on, as your speech improves, we can look at some of these devices that have voice recognition. So Siri and Alexa are not very bright when people have a different mode of speaking. And, you know, that is the challenge of them. Same with voice activation on the computer. And so it's possible that might not be the best option for you at this point in time. Maybe later. But if it's not working for you, if it's frustrating, don't do it. Yeah, you don't want to be frustrated. And so again, this is an option for some people, maybe not for everyone. And that's okay. I mean, we're going to find options for everybody that work best. Yes. Rosalind?
So I wanted to say that there is a button, and I don't know how well it would work for anyone. It depends, but on some of the Siri or Alexa, there's in the settings, there is a that you can click on for it to learn or understand your language or your dialect. And the more that you speak to it, the more that it begins to learn you. You can also speed it up or slow down, how that it takes, like, you know how sometimes if you try to say something to Alexa and she doesn't, and all of a sudden she stops before you finish saying what you want to say, and you're like, you can slow it down so that she gives you more time to say what you want to say. So it's in the settings, and it may be something that you have to play with or get someone to help you kind of look into it and see how to go. But check that out in settings in either one of those.
Good point. Yes, and the same is true with voice activation on the computer. But what you want to be sure of is that you are able to articulate what you want to say the same way each time. So so if you have a specific way you say a word, that's fine. And the important thing not to frustrate you is if you are able to say that the same way each time, then this training will work for you. And that's just an important thing to know about voice activation. All these things I'm showing you, these are all kinds of options, and we have to look at you personally and what works best for you. We do not want to do things that are going to stress us out. We want to do things that are going to help move to the next level. And these things are options for us in the future, maybe not right now. So again, these are all very personal to what works for you and what resonates with you. If you're frustrated, this is something to put aside, and we'll work on it later. Okay. Okay, so we have pill boxes for reminders for your medication. Where's mine? I have it right here. So this is nice. And again, if you pick a certain day of the week, like Sunday, and you fill it up, you're ready to go for the week. The other thing are medication apps. And I am not very familiar with these, but I found this one that was highly rated, and it might be worth looking into. It has a free component to it. And then if you want more detail, there's a purchase. But what it does is you can put your medications in this app and what time you need to take them, and it will remind you to take them. And you can see here, they've got morning medications, none in the afternoon for this person, none in the evening, none in the night. But there are little check boxes that indicate that that pill was taken. The other thing I like is that it shows a picture of what the pill looks like. So that's really cool. It's called MediSafe. MediSafe. So there's a free component to it, and then on other purchasable aspects of it, they have refill reminders and other things that you can put in. But to me, I liked that it had the visual, it had the look of the pill, that you can put your time that you need to take it, and then you have the checklist in case you forgot if you took it or not, and you can go back into the prior days to see how you've done. Another application that is, again, I can't go through, it's very intricate. I don't know if you've heard of the Best Suite of Apps, but this was created by Michelle Wild, who works at the Coastline Community College with people with brain injuries. And she's created this app that has lots of different things that can help you with tracking. She has one part of it's called Plan Your Day, and it helps you with planning out your day, but also managing your energy and your fatigue. There's another part about your goals, whatever your goals are. And here we're talking about the goal of getting organized. It helps you learn how to set, monitor, and accomplish your goals. It helps you document and track strategies that you're using that work for you. So here I've talked about many different things we can do. Some work, some might not work. You keep track of the ones that do work for you, and there's a place that we can use to track that and have that in your fingertips. And accomplishing more is another aspect where they're helping you to move to the next step. Another area on this app creates the checklist and cues you to move to the next step. So here I have talked about all these different strategies, and Michelle Wild has put this all into an app for a phone. So it might be something in the future that we might have her come and talk to us about, just to see how it all works. So I just wanted to give this suggestion to you. I put the website here, bestconnections.org. She does trainings online as well. And so you can sign up to get notifications of those trainings. It might be a nice idea for you.
Yeah.
Another suggestion. So you might want to have columns where you have what, oh, sorry, I wiped it off when I picked up the thing. What you need to do today,
Mhm.
what maybe you want to do soon, and what maybe you'd like to do. So you're really focusing on what has to get done, what you need to remember. Now, in the second column with what you want to do soon, these are things that are not, you know, something that you have to do right away. But after these are done, you might move some of those ideas over here. So you can use a whiteboard to do it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You could also use it with a sticky note. So you put your sticky notes up, and maybe you have a sticky note of what you want to do soon, and you have space to do it today. You could just move it right on over. So that's another way.
Yeah.
Everybody is unique, and your injury is unique, and the way it affects you is unique. And yet there are strategies that work for many people, but not everybody. So we want to really think about what works for you. There are no right or wrongs, really. But what I will say is that when we select something, when you select the strategy that you're going to use, stick with it. Sometimes people get in the habit of, okay, I'm doing it this way. Then you change how you do it. Then you change how you do it. And this is not a way to get that into your long-term memory so that it becomes routine. So we're thinking about picking one area to focus on to start. Think about how you want to sort your information or your things, label it, and practice putting the things away that way every time. Once you get this one area of your life, a small area, you're going to feel successful. And when you feel successful, then you build on to the next thing. That's a very important thing. We're going to take it slow. So the idea here, everyone, is we start with one thing. Once you get that into your routine, then you add the next thing. Like I said at the beginning, we all want to organize everything right away. It's like, I want everything organized. We all do. But when we look at that big picture, it's too much. And then we don't really feel like we've gotten anywhere because it's, where do I start? I don't know what to, it's just all needs help. We're going to pick one little small area, organize that area, practice putting those things in the place. And then when you get to the point, like, I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Zyra. When Zyra goes to her desk, it's organized. She's got it together. She has her coffee. She's relaxed. She knows her calendar's there. That is set. Great. Now we move on to the next thing. Okay. That's what we're going to be thinking about when we're thinking about organizing. And the thing is that you'll feel successful rather than always underwater. Like, everything's disorganized. You're going to organize a spot, a closet, a drawer, a space where you always know you can go to find what you need, your purse, your keys, whatever it is. So let's just, I want you also to remember to be kind to yourself. We get frustrated when things don't work, but you know what? Some days are better than others. I call them on or off days, high or low days, A or B days. With a brain injury, there are days when you wake up and you're just not connecting the way that you did yesterday. It's just not one of those days. That's all right. So what I want you to think about is sometimes you wake up and you're not connecting quite. And so those are days to be a little kinder to yourself, not to expect quite so much of yourself. Okay. So we're going to keep working on organizing, but maybe you're not going to do the full 15 minutes or the full half hour that you planned on doing. Maybe you're going to do 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That's okay. On your on days, you can do more. All right. What affects this is sometimes sleep, sometimes hydration, sometimes what you ate, sometimes who knows? We all have days where sometimes it's just not a high power day. So be kind to yourself when you're thinking about organizing. And then I want you to remember to be consistent with your routine and your structure. That's how you're going to have the most success. So here I go. Just do something every day to organize, even if it's for one thing for a minute, okay? For just because if you say, oh, today I'm not going to do it, it takes away that routine. Or today I'm not going to put those keys back where I normally put them, but I just don't feel like it. Do something every day so that it becomes routine that you are working on organizing. And I want you to remember, it's slow and steady wins the race. So we're one space at a time. You can build on that space, but one space at a time. So now we work on the next thing. And that's how we're going to build our organization, calm our bodies and our minds, so we can have some success in our lives and just have some more pleasure, right? So I just want to thank you all so much for being here and for those who shared. And I hope that this gave you some ideas. I know I threw a ton of ideas out at you, but that's a good thing that it's recorded. So you can eventually go back and maybe just listen to the one spot that you wanted to review or to think about. Don't forget about those websites I showed you, especially that one, the instruction.com. Let me make sure I have that right. That to me was really amazing because it had pictures and step-by-step. You might not find everything you want, but it could help you to figure out how you want to organize that one process or that one space. I'm thrilled that you're here, and I really invite you to every one of our sessions that we have and all the things that the Brain Injury Foundation has to offer. We have so many things up and coming that are going to be helpful for you. And we just want to ensure that we are with you on the journey and we are with you as you progress. And we're just thrilled to have you as a part of our community.
Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And if you don't have any questions, then we just want to make sure that we invite you, for anyone that may be new to SDBIF, make sure that you stay connected with us, lock us in on your devices so that you can keep up with the things that we're doing. If there is something that you feel like the SDBIF can help you with, any resources or connections, then give us a call and we will set up a resource case for you so that we can try to help you with items or things that you feel like that you're in need of. And we would just love to be able to help you along your recovery journey.
Well, it's just been a pleasure spending the Saturday morning with you, and I hope to see you at other events, and I wish you well. And remember, just one at a time, one thing at a time. If you already organized, then you add the next thing on, and you will find over time that you will then have your home space and your life more organized. Don't overwhelm yourselves. Be kind to yourselves.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.